I am live. This is Teresa Flowers. Thank you so much for tuning in. How are you all doing today? If you have any questions about women in the arts, please start asking me some questions and we'll definitely try to answer them. I'm waiting for my co-host to join. Hopefully she will be here shortly. Here she is. On my Instagram at Teresa Flowers Photography, but today we're going live on my personal account because I have more followers and we wanted to reach more people for this conversation. Good morning, May. Thank you for
Good
joining.
morning. Of course.
How are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm in my hometown, Salt Lake City, and I'm just like having such a blast. And my heart is like so full right now. It's pretty emotional. I'm getting ready to leave in the morning, so it's been fabulous.
Awesome. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah. All right. Well, so should we get started, or should we wait for some
Yeah.
people, or should we wait for more people to join? Should I just kind of catch you up on what I'm doing here while we wait for people to join?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, so I'm on a work road trip right now. I went from Portland to Idaho, stayed with a friend there, and then I've been in Salt Lake for a few days working. I have a few photo shoots today, so it's very exciting. Um, just being here, it's like crazy hot. So it's like almost 100 degrees, and I forgot how hot it gets here, and that's been it's been a little uncomfortable. But man, there's nothing like being in your hometown where like everywhere you go, there's like a memory and just, I mean, I just went to the farmer's market. I just ran into a bunch of friends and had lunch with a bunch of friends. And there's just a lot of love here for me. And, there's nothing like the intimacy of a place that you've spent most of your life growing up. So it's been really heartwarming. I found myself like getting teary-eyed like 4 times yesterday because I was like so happy. And then I had to say goodbye to one of my best friends, and it was really hard. So, but I'm on my way to LA. So tomorrow I'm going to drive out to St. George, see a good friend there. And then I'm going to go to Vegas to see a doctor of mine. And then I'm going to go to LA for the LA Art Show. So I'm really looking forward to it. I get to be with my people and reconnect with the art world. So if anyone doesn't know what LA Art Show is, it's basically like the best galleries from all over the world come together and bring their most exciting art all in one place, and you get to just take it all in. And I'm just like looking forward to it. I've been excited to go back. I haven't been to LA for 2 years, so it's going to be exciting to be by the beach and see how things have been since COVID, because I'm sure that's really taken a toll on the city. I heard that like 500,000 people have left LA in the last year to 2 years, which is like a crazy exodus. But maybe there'll be more room for me and more space for me at the beach, so that'll be nice. So I'm outside by the tracks in Sandy, Utah, which is funny, which is where I graduated from high school. So it's fun to be in this area. And then after LA, I'm going to be hanging out in I'm going to go to Malibu, which is, in LA. And I'm going to surf for a few days with my surfer bud in Malibu. And then I'm going to go up to Big Sur, to Eslan, and get spiritual. It's so pretty up there. They have a hot springs like right on the beach. And I'm looking forward to just getting my Zen on. And then we'll see what happens from there. I might go to the Bay. I might go to the Redwoods. I might just go home. I'm kind of just a free spirit right now. So I think I'm ready. Are you feeling ready?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
it was a good quick update. If anybody has any questions about my travels, let us know. All right.
Awesome. So we can jump right into it. If you haven't been to one of these live streams before. Basically, what we do to start is we review some of the questions that we talk about in Teresa's blog, which you can find on her website. We had a new post this past Wednesday, which is the one that we'll be talking about today. So I'll prompt Teresa with some questions about that to get her kind of talking about the topic we were talking about this week. And then we're going to open it up for a Q&A. And if you have any Q&A questions, just put them in the chat as we're talking, and I'll go back and I'll read them off. We also have some that were sent in on Instagram beforehand. So we'll get going on those. And if you're ready, I can jump into the first question.
Yeah, thank you everybody for your questions. Really, really appreciate it. I'm ready.
Awesome. Awesome. So the first question I have for you is, who first cultivated your interest in the arts as well as feminism growing up?
So my mother was an artist, so I grew up looking at her art. She loved to draw horses. It was one of her passions. And I was always quite artistic, and I started taking art classes when I was in junior high. And my mother just always pushed me to do my art, always told me I would do great with my art, just was very supportive. And she was also a musician, and so was my father. So that was nice, to grow up with that. But we grew up in a very conservative patriarchal society, and my mom was one of those people who was really like pushing for equality by helping other women really become more empowered through her work. And growing up in a community like that can be really challenging as a woman and as an artist. And she really inspired me to push for my own self-empowerment, which I think that's where feminism starts, is by really learning to have our own voices and how to stand up for the things that we believe in. And she really cultivated that in me. And then when I got out into the art world, I really there's so many amazing artists, and I feel like if you're just an artist in the world, you are a feminist, because that is breaking a ton of boundaries since it is so dominated by men. But I love Swoon, Camille Rose Garcia, Diane Arbus, Sally Mann. The list goes on of some really amazing women who were out there with their cameras when women were out there with their cameras shooting like big, large format cameras. Kathleen Hanna from Bikini Kill, several other bands, the Riot Girl movement. She really inspired me when I was in my teens and my high school years, because I literally never even heard of feminism. I hadn't even heard of a Riot Girl movement. And I just really got into the music, and I got into the movement, and it really gave me a voice. And she's still out there rocking it. So.
Awesome. Well, you already touched on this question, so I don't know if you have more to say on it, but are there any other specific female artists who you look up to for their efforts toward gender equality?
Yeah. Like I said, just being a woman in the arts is an act of feminism itself. But there's just so many incredible women out there who are making amazing work. Let's see, who are some of my favorites right now? So Margaret Killigan, she is a street artist, and she started doing street art before street art was really even a thing. Before lowbrow art was even coined. She helped create that movement with her partner, Barry McGee, who's also a very huge street artist. And she would do these amazing murals and pieces out in the streets of San Francisco. And she just really inspired me. She lived a really beautiful life and left a legacy after she died of cancer. And she's celebrated throughout the world. And if you haven't seen her work, I really inspire you to look at it, because she was really all inclusive. It wasn't just about, white surfer women. It was all inclusive. You saw all sorts of types of women in her work. And that was way before its time. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Awesome. And then in your blog, you also discuss the life and legacy of Vivian Maier. What initially drew you to her photography and her life story?
So I was lucky enough to see one of her art shows in Los Angeles. And what I love about her is she was an outsider artist, which I just really love outsider artists because those are the people who don't even know what art is, never got an art education, and they work every day to make their art without caring if anyone sees it, likes it, or supports it or buys it, you know? And it's kind of unheard of these days for stuff like that to happen, but she photographed 150,000 photographs over her lifetime working as a nanny, and no one even saw most of her work until after she had passed away. Someone had found her work. And what I love about that is she didn't care that it was a man's world, and she didn't care that anybody was seeing her work, and she was out there making her work. Unfortunately, it is the life of an artist that they sometimes become famous after they pass on. And she's created quite a following with her work. But she photographed everything from like people to landscapes and all over the world. And she was so passionate about her work. And I just find that so inspiring in a world where everything's, you know, live streamed and photographed and on Instagram. And she did it all just for herself, which is really what a true artist does.
Yeah, I definitely love that story. I heard about her before, and I think it's just so interesting. Moving on, what are the best lessons you have learned from female mentors that have stuck with you throughout your career?
So I am looking back on my mentors and I'm realizing that most of my mentors were male. And I, I kind of just didn't even realize that that's how it has shaken out for me. And then I think about like the women in the arts, and there's women in the arts, but you know, a lot of my mentors were, you know, like my college professor. And, you know, it happens to be a pretty male dominated world. And I realized as I was thinking about this question that I really have sought out to be the mentor I always wish I had. Which was open and inspiring and supportive, because it's really, there could be more female mentors out there. But I did have a mentor. Her name was Susan Beres, and she's still my mentor to this day. In fact, I hope I get to see her when I go to Los Angeles. But she came to Utah when I was in my mid 20s, and I was just one of the only women that I knew who was a photographer at the time. And she just really, really supported me and gave me so many words of affirmation about my work and reminded me that I was doing something special and that I had a really unique voice. And I ended up going out to see her in LA and being out there in the industry there. And from her, she helped really expand my network, where I got to meet with some of my other mentors, which I'm going down to the LA Art Show soon, and I'm going to get to see. It's been so great to see my mentors on this trip. It makes me feel so whole. But so she is a juror for the International Photo Awards, Ad Edge, like all the big major competitions. She's one of the main people in the photo world who people go to for consulting, and she's just a boss lady. And what I love about her, she will tell you exactly what she thinks to your face. She's like has that New York attitude, and which is what I love about the big cities, is people don't have time to like, you know, I don't know, like be fake, you know, they're just like very, and they're passionate. She's so passionate about what she does. She's been dedicated to the photo world, you know, for 40 years. Um, and it's just, it's just good to just find the mentors who can really help you and really inspire you. And I really recommend going out there and working with as many mentors as you can. And I'd love to hear if you all have any female mentors that you would like to share about, because I'd like to hear more about women out there mentoring other women. Oh, and I just real quick, I talked a little bit about how I'm a mentor. So I do have the Creative Development Institute, where I take on mentees and I help them with their career. And it's just so fun to really share all my lifelong wisdom in the arts and see women going out and like pushing through and making really amazing art.
Awesome. So the next question I have for you, in the past you have mentioned the Guerrilla Girls. How did you first hear about this group and what inspires you about their work?
So I love the Guerrilla Girls. They're epic. You should Google them or DuckDuckGo them right now. Um, so I saw their work. I was traveling throughout Europe, and I don't exactly remember because I was in my 20s, and I saw like one of their big posters, and they are hardcore feminists, and they have a lot to say, and it's powerful. They're funny, they're direct, and you don't know who they are. It's a collective of women that work together to bring down the man, and they're not afraid. And it's not about the one person who's making the art, it's about the collective standing up for equality. And I'm just like crazy inspired by them. Every time I think about them, it makes me smile. And I just inspire you to go check out their work.
Awesome. And how has music influenced your growth as an artist and a woman?
So I absolutely love music. I've always been a dabbler in music and been in bands throughout my life. And before I was, I don't think of myself as a musician, but before I pretended to be a musician, I was inspired, and before I even got into art, I was inspired by music. I talked a little bit about Kathleen Hanna, but the list of badass women in the music industry is long, and I have almost always had a soundtrack for specific things that I'm working on in my life, from like Rihanna to Missy Elliott to obviously Kathleen Hanna. I loved like Pat Benatar, and like, I mean, there's just so many amazing musicians that are out there. Like, uh, just being in an industry, again, the music industry is really dominated by men, and so they're just out there just doing their work and helping elevate the industry. It's one of the most inspiring things is music to me, and sometimes I'll even hear a song that will inspire art, um, like an art piece or a project that I'm working on.
Great. And then I just have one more question for you, and then we'll move into the Q&A. So if people have questions, you can start typing those in the chat and we'll get to them. But my last question for you is, how do you hope to pass what you've learned from the women before you on to the next generation?
So I love taking on, I love being a mentor for young women, or they don't even have to be young, all types of women. Bring them on. I have some women I work with who are in their 40s who are starting businesses as photographers. Um, but I want to help remind you how much you have to say as a woman, and to help give these women voices and to express themselves and give them a place to like really help build a community and help with, things that are going on in our world. Art is so powerful. And remind women that being an artist has its richness outside of any financial reward that you could get. And I really try to help women with their businesses and help them build a legacy for themselves that they can pass on. Being a woman artist it's super rough, and so I want to help support women and remind them that things are changing, and we're a part of that, and we're helping change it. And let's keep it going, and let's not be afraid. We are so brave, and we can like cultivate the kind of community and the kind of life we want with our art. And don't give up, ever, 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 especially if you know it's your calling. Especially, it gets so hard, but know that there's people out there that love what you do, and they're going to really just be there to support you and appreciate it. And let's keep it going.
Great. Thank you so much for all of your very thoughtful responses. It was awesome. Now we're going to move into our Q&A section. So we have a few questions in the chat already, but if you're watching and you have a question that you're dying to get answered, definitely put it in the chat and I'll read it out loud and Teresa will be able to answer it for you. I did see there was a few earlier on. The first one is a pretty broad question, so you can take it wherever you want, but just in general, what's it like being a woman?
It is very intuitive. Women have a fluidity to them that I don't think they for me personally, I didn't quite understand it. And I knew that I was different. I just didn't know how and why. And as I got older, I realized that my gifts were being sensitive, being pure, being innocent, um, being intuitive. And we have a wisdom about our bodies that I like to think that men sometimes just don't have. And our bodies speak to us and our bodies talk to us, and they are so, so intelligent. I think far more intelligent than our brain. And I think it's good to just remember that you're soft. And as a woman, things you're in receiving mode. And it's a good to, it's, it's also good to know how to be a leader and to stand up for yourself and all those things, but also to remembering that being soft is also a gift and also needed in our world. And being a woman in the world is so, so rough. We are constantly criticized, put down, sexualized, hooted out on the side of the street. You know, like you literally can't get through the day without someone trying to sexualize you. And then when it comes to being out in the workforce, it is just, it's uncool, honestly. Especially in the art world and the photo world, I've seen it firsthand. It's like 1 in 10 women photographers and probably 1 in 100 women photographers that actually even can make even a tiny bit of a living. So I just want to inspire you, if you're a man, to help break down the misogyny inside you. And if you're a woman, let's dismantle this and know within ourselves that we are valued and we are valuable and we have a lot to say. And we need to work together because men need us and we need them and we need each other to mirror back our beauty and our gifts. And as a woman, we need your help, guys. So yeah, being a woman, it's amazing, honestly. I love celebrating femininity, and I love celebrating our bodies. I just love, like, I'll see like a beautiful woman, I'm like, she is beautiful, and I love her style. And that reminds me of how much beauty I have and how stylish I am. And it just, there's just so many beautiful women in the world. I'm in Utah, and there's like everywhere I look, I'm like, ah, the beauty, you know? And we're beautiful in so many different ways. And we should really celebrate all our amazing differences because that's what makes you unique and that's what makes you you, and we should celebrate it.
And you talked a little bit about your road trip you're on, but other than that, what's new for you this summer?
Yeah, so I opened up Alien Mermaid Cove pop-up shop on Alberta Street. The mission of Alien Mermaid Cove, which is, so you know, it's a used clothing store. I like to call it a sustainable lifestyle store. It's a way that you can come and get some really cool, awesome clothes and be way into fashion with helping save our earth from more clothing waste. And we have all sorts of a collection of amazing stuff, but we do also have my own clothing line called Altered States. So I take clothes that are on the way to the landfill. They either have a stain or a rip or a hole, and I upcycle them. I embroider them, acid wash them. It's just really fun. But a portion of the proceeds go to women artist grants. And at the end of the year, then we have an art show in our gallery showcasing the women's work who receive the artist grants. And the style of Alter States is like very like oversized. It's like a cross between the Pacific Northwest, like chill vibe, and the street art style of Los Angeles from when I lived there. And it's all about being comfy. And then Alien Mermaid Cove, a portion of the proceeds go to marginalized individuals to take art classes because the world would be so boring if it was only white men making art. So let's get other people out there who wouldn't even have the opportunity to make art. Let's get them into art classes, making awesome art, so the world is just vibrant and beautiful. And we're open on the weekends. So if you want more information, you can find us at Alien Mermaid Cove on Instagram and .com. So, oh, and I'm just like working on a ton of stuff, but that's just a portion of it. I have a podcast, the blog we're doing. I'm still camping a ton, which is like my major passion lately, is just being out in the sun while we have it in Portland. And yeah, I think that's a pretty good list there. So.
Yeah, that's great. The next question that was put in the chat is, what men inspire you?
What men inspire me?
Yeah.
Oh man, I have so many amazing male mentors. I mean, even just in the last 24 hours, I got to meet with my mentor, Joe Murata, and he was one of my professors at the University of Utah when I went there. And he has, over the years, just really pushed for me to not only get scholarships, but just to help me get through the day to day of being an artist and having those deep conversations with such wisdom, you know, because he's older than me. And people just want to inspire people to have friends who are older than you in your profession who can give you like a world view from, you know, 30 years down the line, because we do have such a limited view, and it's just nice to have that kind of wisdom. Dennis Meekum, he's a local here in Utah. He was the first person to help me get a medium format camera. He helped me shoot a large format. He works with the figure, so I was able to work with the figure and do his workshops. Oh my gosh, I have worked with so many mentors. Joel Peter Witkin, he does some really creepy, dark stuff, which I totally love. Especially in my 20s, my work was it was very dark. I was personally going through a dark time. So I used my artwork to explore that. And Joel Peter Witkin is just amazing. Um, Gosh, who else have I worked with? I'm friends with Shepard Fairey. Shepard Fairey's been a huge mentor for me. He's a huge advocate for the arts, especially in LA. He has a few galleries there, and he's been very helpful. And that's a good start, right?
Definitely. If you guys are just joining us, we're doing a little Q&A, so feel free to pop some questions in the chat. But I'm going to move on to some of the questions that we got on Instagram. The first one is, what are the things that make you happy, and what do you get angry about?
Whew, those are some fun questions. So I get really happy being outside. Nature is my God. Nature is my place where I get to just be free and connect with my inner goddess, my inner beauty, you know. I love to surf. I love being active. I love camping and being outside, skateboarding, biking. But the truth is I'm like almost always happy. I know that sounds crazy because life has been hard, but I've worked really, really hard to create the happiness that I have in my heart. And, you know, it's a lot of work to feel whole without a lot of nothing, you know? So it takes a lot to bring me down. I do, you know, check in when I do get down, and I do self-reflect, and then I go, that's not going to bring me down. I'm going to stay happy. And it's really important for me to create happiness in other people's lives too. So making sure that, obviously, I do believe that there is a toxic positivity to life. I'm not saying you should be like that. Um, but what I'm saying is being uplifting and uplifting the people around you. And when you are feeling bummed and stuff like that, communicating with people in a way that keeps the happiness and the uplifting flowing. I love music, and I love my friends and my community, and I love making art. I just love making art. I love making music, and I love bringing community together by having a space like a gallery or a shop and bringing and creating community. That's when I feel like the most whole, is when I get to share my authentic self with my favorite people, and when I get to share my passion to inspire other people. And it makes you feel good. You know, I like to surround myself by people who make me feel good. And I think we all should cultivate that kind of a consciousness for our personal space. There's a time when I feel like, you know, this doesn't make me feel good, then I will just kindly remove it from my life. I just think it's really important to declutter everything, not from your house to your mind to the people that you surround yourself with. And we're not all perfect. I'm gonna have moments where I'm gonna be in drama or whatever, but to self-reflect and bring it back to like, oh yeah, life fucking rules. That's a great question. I'm gonna talk about what makes me angry.
Yes.
Dude, misogyny makes me angry. Speed bumps make me angry. Oh my gosh, so many things make me angry. But those are like the two things I can think of right now. But I am doing my best to dismantle misogyny. And whenever I get any sort of like, just when people are disrespectful, and that can be even slight disrespectful things, and when it's from the internet and being online or being in people's presence, when they're just not respectful to you and they're not willing to hear you out and really listen to you, that can really make me angry. And mansplaining and all that stuff, that can make me very angry. But I'm in a place in my life where I will stand up for myself and I will stand up for what I believe in. Thank you guys for joining. It's good to see you.
Awesome. The next question that we have is, what would you like to change in the world?
Wow, that's deep. It's a really deep and great question, and there's so many things I'd like to change. I'd really like to change the way women are treated in the arts, or women are just treated in the world. It's really time for mass change. It's happening, but it could happen faster. Climate change, man, there's so many deep things I could talk about here. I do a lot of research on sex trafficking and child sex trafficking, and that shit has got to change. I'm not sure how I'm going to help it or how I'm going to be a part of it. Right now, I'm just trying to educate myself. But I get emotional when I talk about this because children's sex slavery is just below the drug trafficking and then above arms, or maybe those, don't quote me on that. It's like maybe those are mixed up, but maybe it's arms, but it's like the second most, it makes just as much money as those other tradings. And if you think about that, that is absolutely horrifying. And that a young child could be raped up to 6,000 times. And how is that even okay in our world? And that is something that I really want to help change. And if anybody has any ideas or any help, I'd like to think that one day I'll hopefully have like a foundation or something that I can help support those, support helping people get out of that.
Yeah, I think that's super important, for sure. We're gonna switch it up a little bit, and this question's a little bit lighter, a little bit easier. What is your camera of choice?
Well, I love Leicas. I worked with a Hasselblad for 20 years. Unfortunately, I can't afford a digital Hasselblad. Shout out to Hasselblad if you want to sponsor me. I'm over here. Love the Leicas. I grew up, shooting medium format and large cameras. But you know what? I have just shot with a Canon most of the last 10 plus years. It's a great camera. I love the Canons. My first camera was a Nikon 35 millimeter 6006 for all those old school nerds out there. But it doesn't necessarily matter what kind of camera you have. It matters how you see the world and how you give it your own slant and your own voice. But having a good camera definitely helps. But Canon 5D Mark II, I've been using it for 10 years. It's getting old, guys. So go join my Patreon so you can help me get a new camera. But yeah, it's a great camera.
Awesome. I think we have time for like one or two more questions. So if anyone has questions, feel free to put them in the chat. But another one off Instagram was, what is your favorite movie/TV series?
Ooh. Okay. So I have a few. I really love Interstellar. I'm one of those crazy space chicks that like love the universe and love space. And I love the idea of time not being linear. And when I watched that, the first time I watched it within 24 hours again, I have lost my parents. So I like the idea of being able to connect with them in a different time and space. And just really love that movie. I realize when I get depressed or sad, I watch Pride and Prejudice. So that's probably really is my favorite movie. Just, I really love the character in there that she comes from kind of like not a privileged household. And she's constantly standing up to authority, especially women authority, and having a voice and being strong, and that she doesn't settle. So the guy has to work for her and be a better person for her, and she inspires that out of him. And I just love that. Like, I'm just such a romantic because I'm a Pisces, and I think the world should be made of romance. And I love it that he takes the challenge and he steps up. and there's a happy ending. Yay. So I love Harold and Maude. So that's probably like my all-time old school favorite movie. I've watched it a million times, but the character in it, I feel like I'm going to be her when I'm older, because it seems like I always like the younger guys, or they always like me. But and then she helps like share with them all like the way of living life to the fullest. Up until, well, I don't want to give it away if you haven't seen it, but there's some Cat Stevens in there. There's a great, I think it's a Porsche turned into like the funeral home cars, where the hearses. And then there's a good scene where he puts his hand into this sculpture. Anyways, you have to see it. It's great. And then Welcome Home, Roxy Carmichael, and I could go on and on, but those are my top three, I think.
Awesome. We'll end it on another kind of fun question. What is your favorite city and country?
Oh, okay. So, I have to say I remember all the times I've had to leave LA and come back to LA. And I remember driving through downtown LA in the worst traffic going, this might be my true love, being in Los Angeles. What I love about LA is it's so vibrant. Like, you walk down the street and anything goes. That person can be wearing a banana suit and everyone's like, that's normal. When people in Portland say we're weird, like, they don't know what they're talking about, because they don't know really what weird is. And when people are weird in Portland, they look at you like you don't fit in. But in LA, everyone fits in. You go there, it's just a melting pot of the most talented and amazing people from all over the world that are there to follow their dreams. And the weather is excellent. It's 72, it's 75, it's 68, and there's the beach that's beautiful, and surfing. My favorite beach is in Malibu. Surfrider, here I come. First point. It's a point, so it has it's dedicated just to surfers. It's like a surf reserve. You can't go out there just to swim. You have to be on a surfboard. And it's a first point, so it rolls down. So if you hit the wave, you can roll all the way down the beach. And the best surfers in the world are there. It's also quite a challenging place to live, so there's definitely pros and cons to being in LA, but I think I love it for the art and for the weather and the surfing and the culture. It's just a fun place to be. And my favorite country, I wish I knew more about different countries. I have been out and about, but I haven't found a country that I was like, I love this place more than the US or something like that, but of course, I'm going to say the US. Obviously, there's a lot of things going on that I think that we all would like to change, but I feel super blessed, super privileged to live in such a place where I get to have freedom of speech. And to me, that is one of the most important things, is my freedom. I think about it every day. I'm grateful for it every day. And I'm fighting for it every day. Let's be honest. Thank you for
Awesome.
that.
Yeah, thank you so much for all of your answers. We think we had some really good questions, and I think we can go ahead and wrap it up unless there's anything else that you'd like to say.
Yeah, I want to say, hey, thanks for watching, everybody. You guys are so awesome. I hope to see you on my trip. And I want to say thank you to my assistant, Maeve. She's the best. She's constantly working to get all this content out to you all. And I love engaging with you. So if you have any questions, you want to just chat, DM me. And also you can find my photography at Teresa Flowers Photography. I also have a bunch of other handles like Teresa Flowers Fine Art, Alien Mermaid Cove, Altered States. Go check out my website, stay in touch. And thank you so much for your ongoing support. I really, really, truly couldn't do it without you. All right, I'm going to sign off. Do you have anything you want to say before I go?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. I'll see y'all soon.